Meanwhile, tonight, the left's bizarre obsession with Sarah Palin surged to a whole new level today as the state of Alaska released more than 24,000 emails from her time as governor. And at this hour, liberals are no doubt sifting through her private correspondence, hoping to find some evidence of some impropriety. And as usual, the mainstream Obama mania media is doing its part to help smear the former governor. Now, this week, left-wing news outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post enlisted their readers to help comb through the mountains of documents. Quote, help us investigate the Sarah Palin email records, reads an article on the Times website. And the Post, well, they took a similar approach, even asking anyone interested to fill out an application explaining why they should be considered for their team of 100 investigators. However, after conservatives like Ann Coulter, Michelle Malkin, and others cried foul, the Post has now reconsidered its approach. Instead of limiting its attack team to 100 people, it's encouraging all readers to read through the governor's emails and sending comments on the contents. Anyone who can still say with a straight face that the media is not biased, well, you should be nominated for an Oscar. And here with reaction to this absurd smear campaign and the latest on Anthony Weiner, former Democratic congressional candidate Krystal is back, along with the author of this terrific new book, Outnumbered, Chronicles of a Manhattan, New York Conservative. The Daily Caller's Jedediah Bila is back. Guys, welcome to the program. And I'm going to tell you what I think this is. Sarah Palin goes on a bus tour up the East Coast from D.C. straight on up. The media, we're like paparazzi, but they follow. Yeah. And, you know, she doesn't go to the mainstream media. She goes directly to people. She has more guts than, any 50 politicians I can think of. She's effective, and it drives them insane. Yeah, this is sort of a Palin OCD, as I like to call it. And the problem is that she has a rock-solid record, so they can't pick on that. You know, my advice to the media was, good, you know what, you want to read these emails? Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn something about AGEA and ACES and all of her policies of investing and all of these things were beneficial to the state of Alaska. Maybe they'll learn something and report on that instead of all the nonsense. In 24,000 emails that she was working pretty darn hard. Look, Krystal, I understand the left doesn't agree with her politics. But don't you find this obnoxious? This over-the-top media outlets, and come on, help us, join in the smear campaign. You could be a part of it.
It's a little bizarre, but a little bit of context. I mean, this is public information that was requested about 3 years ago. That's finally coming out. It's 24,000 emails, and this is what was going to happen anyway. People are going to
Can I give you an example, though? In 2008, we had a candidate running for president that started his campaign in the home of an unrepentant terrorist, that sat on boards with him and gave speeches with him. Yeah. How many questions was Barack Obama asked her in the campaign about Bill Ayers? Do you know the answer to that question?
I don't know the exact number.
The answer is one. One question. And he's hanging out with a guy that bombed the Pentagon, the Capitol, and New York City Police Headquarters. Do you think, is there any proportionality here?
Yes, there is. To say that the president has not been scrutinized is ridiculous. How long did we spend talking about his birth certificate?
You found out I hung out with
every person time later.
We couldn't even talk about his voting record, if you remember. We couldn't even address the fact that he voted present. We couldn't talk about the fact that he had no executive experience. Everyone was saying Sarah Palin's not fit to be president, but Barack Obama, who had zero executive experience.
I want you to stop. I want you to stop here for a second.
One thing that I want to say, though, the person who benefits the most from this thing, though, is going to be Sarah Palin.
I agree.
And you're right about one thing. I agree. She's brilliant.
She's working.
I mean, who else gets the reporters to chase her up the East Coast? Nobody's reading Tim Pawlenty's emails, are they? This is a great thing for her.
They are afraid of her.
Terrified.
They are terrified of her. And I'm going to tell you, in spite of all the conventional wisdom, if she runs, she will beat Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
You heard it here first. I believe.
What I will say,
she runs, she will beat Barack Obama.
She will win the GOP primary.
And she will beat.
She cannot win a general election. She is too divisive.
Barack Obama is such a failure. He's going to lose whoever the candidate.
Once she gets out there and speaks directly to the people, and that caricature of her will be erased, and in its place will be a real practical woman.
Don't know her. They know her. They've met her.
They know her through the lens of the media. That's not true.
Are you really going to look in the camera and tell me that if Governor Palin started her career in the home of an unrepentant terrorist, hung out with Jeremiah Wright, gave speeches with Ayers and Dorn, sat on boards with Bill Ayers, you're telling me telling me that she would only get one question and that her answer that he's just a guy in the neighborhood would fly? Krystal, look in the camera and tell the American people you don't believe that.
You know what? She has been.
Answer the Ayers part.
The Ayers part. And all of this has been covered. The president, all of this has been
covered the same way.
His religion, even his wife's, losing weight campaign, all of it scrutinized. Every single personal relationship.
No,
it's true.
Let me ask you this: What do you make of the Washington Post and New York Times? This is unprecedented.
I think it's ridiculous. I don't. Maybe I was napping at the time, but I don't remember them calling for Senator Obama's emails to be released and for everyone to pound through those. How come we're not looking at the health care law? You know, the one we had to pass to find out what was in it. Do they want people to be helping them out with that? No, this is about Sarah Palin. She's an enormous threat to both the left and some in the GOP establishment, and that's the.
Let me say one thing as a conservative to you, though. You know what? Sarah Palin is teaching every Republican a lesson in terms of the media.
Yes.
They hate her. They hate all conservatives.
Yeah.
They're never going to like you. There's nothing you can do to suck up to them.
No, and put it on your own terms. Go straight to the people. You know what? If the filter's not going to be fair, get rid of the filter, go straight to the people, and explain who you are and what you stand for.
I'm saying she's smart.
She is. I agree with you. Her media strategy is brilliant. Again, I mean, who else has this ability to answer only the questions they want to answer, to talk only to the people that they want to talk, to only get their message out there, and have people focusing on her entirely? All the unfair criticisms that you're talking about, she has managed to turn that all around to be a positive for her. You can't attack her because
I agree. That's insightful. I agree with that. But your thing about Ayers is so over the top. I think
the coverage of her has been quite sexist.
But the lack of coverage of Obama is the media is dead in this country.
Till now, we still can't get the media.
Let me ask you about Weiner. I want to get this Weiner.
Everything that he could possibly be attacked on.
Now, we know everything that we know about Weiner. Shouldn't he have resigned? Now, if this issue in Delaware with him and a 17-year-old girl, which he denied, and I'm going to play it in the next segment. Is there any Democrat that will not say, if that's true, resign? And shouldn't they have said it earlier?
I'm really torn on this, I'll be honest with you. What I can say is if I were a constituent in his district, I would want him to resign.
Sending pictures of his...
Well, the allegations about the minor, that's a new low, and that's a different thing.
What about sending it to a 20-year-old girl, 21-year-old girl, 26-year-old girl?
What I'm saying is I think it's up to the constituents of his district to
stop
decide
the constituent thing. I don't want to hear it.
It's true.
You're a Democrat. Tell me,
if he were my congressman, I would not vote for him.
Should he resign?
I personally think he should, but again, a majority of his voters in his district want to keep him.
He needs to resign. He has an obligation to uphold some sense of integrity, which he hasn't. He lied to the American people repeatedly. Now, heaven knows what else is going to come out. I feel like every day I wake up and there's a new fact emerging that's more horrific than the last.
All right, one last point. You went through in your campaign. You were at a party and you had a little bit of racy photos. Not a little bit. They were racy photos. How big an issue did it become in your campaign?
It was huge. I mean, it was the thing that the press, of course, gravitated. I was telling you beforehand, I became the second most Googled term in the world. And what I did is I decided that night when the photos hit to go to camera and say, here's what happened, and just lay it all out. And that's really what Anthony Weiner should have done.
In one sense, this really reveals that we live in a different time. Everyone has a cell phone. Everyone can take a picture. Everyone can record. In one sense, I think you at a private party, your husband was there, all of that.
And these were old photos as well. Yeah. And it was not, I wasn't doing anything illegal.
Well, look at the distinction, though, also, is that she said this is what happened. She came out and told the truth. I think a lot of people might feel differently about him if he had told the truth. But to go on national television repeatedly and deceive the American people, that is
I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying the internet scandal, you had your own issues. And what I'm saying is this is a different time.
Yeah, the problem is the lying. I mean, obviously all the things that he did are also a problem. The real broken trust between him and the country and his constituents is that he went to them and lied directly.
There are racy photos of me that I don't want out. From when I was 1 year old, I was naked in a tub, and I don't want those photos. I'm fighting hard.
You better keep those. That's racy stuff.
Right now to get those photos.
Media Matters is on it.
All right.